Where you go?
Are you good?
Yeah,
You get nervous.
Never.
Are you good, Melody?
I'm good.
All right, sweet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold up. How do you pronounce your last name?
Yes.
Salisbury.
Okay.
Salisbury. Melody
like the steak.
Salisbury.
Okay, that's what I thought
Yeah.
it was. Yeah.
Okay. Like the steak. Awesome. Yeah, Melody, thank you so much for coming, taking the time
course.
to sit with the team and, discuss your journey there. So for
Yeah.
those who don't really know you, you kind of want to just dive into who you are.
Sure. Well, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I'm a real estate investor in St. Thomas, but haven't been doing this for too long. I think we've been 2 years now in. But my background is I started in retail. I was running $50 million big box stores. So think like Best Buy. When Victoria's Secret came to Canada, I helped open up those stores, run them.
Wow.
And then I had kids and I'm like, I don't want to do retail anymore because it's hard and it's a lot of hours, nights. So I started my own business, custom apparel. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm selling that because I found real estate. I found my passion. And I just feel like the opportunities when you're investing in real estate are like amazing, and the people that you meet.
Yeah.
So
So before the sales, before Victoria's Secret, before all that, like, what were you doing? Like, who are you growing up?
Who was I growing up? Oh man, I grew up in Ancaster. Ancaster, Hamilton, I like pretty basic life, like just growing up, had friends. Like you see your kids now, like you don't have kids yet, but it's kind of like I feel bad for them because I'm like, no, you can't go outside. I need to know where you are at every time. But we grew up like freaking out all day.
Yeah.
Parents were like, okay, come home when it's dark.
Yeah.
So like my life, like teenage life was great. I went to school in Hamilton High School. I went to school at Mohawk for tourism and travel. Didn't go into it, and I wish, like, thinking back, like, I think it's different now, but in school, like, they really kind of nurture what do you want to do now, hopefully.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to, like, instill that in my kids. Like, you can do anything. Like, literally, you can do anything. So start thinking about what you want to do now. Because in high school, you don't know what you want to do. You're, like, 18, and it's scary.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Then you're going to college, university. Is this the right thing?
Yeah.
Did you ever find yourself, like, going back from, like, your childhood that you'd be in this position, like, doing real estate?
No. Like when I was younger, like little, I wanted to be a marine biologist, like,
Sweet.
right?
Yeah,
Like when
yeah.
you're little,
Yeah.
like, this is what I want to do. But no, I mean, we didn't have it in our family. Like, and thinking back, my grandfather had his own business. He did very well. And he wasn't into real estate. I'm like, why? I wonder why he didn't go into that, because he was very smart.
Yeah.
But no, my family wasn't into it. We had no rental properties. But I think it just takes one person to like take a chance to create that generational wealth. That's, my kids are seeing it now, and they're like, I take them to our properties and like, Mom, this looks like really crappy. I wouldn't live here. But I'm taking them there because I want to prove a point to them. Like, yeah, it looks like this now, but wait until you see the reno,
Yes. So no one like invested in real estate like prior in your family, but
Nope.
entrepreneurs though, there were a lot of those, or?
No, just my grandpa.
Oh, really?
Yep. Everyone was like T4. Like my dad worked for CRA.
Yeah.
So he was auditor, the phone calls that you
Oh,
get,
yeah.
you owe
Yeah.
this much. My mom worked for RBC.
Okay.
So it was like, okay, yeah, that's kind of what my upbringing was.
Yeah.
Right.
So was that scary
very-
for you? Like once you started your own company, your own business, was that scary?
It was, but I just felt like I didn't want to go work for, Victoria's Secret after I had my second kid. I'm like, I don't want to go back to that. I want to do something where I can do what I want to do and be home for my kids and work when I want to work. So I feel like starting that business really opened my mind, because even now, if I got offered a job that was like pretty good money, but I worked for someone else, I wouldn't take it, because you have that freedom and you have that like entrepreneurial, once you're in it, you can't go back.
Yeah.
You cannot go back.
So what was the first business you started then?
The first business I started was Game Over Baby. So my husband's a gamer.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
And I was like, what can I do? I was brainstorming with my sister, like, what's cool? And then we're like, hey, there's no cool, like, geeky baby clothes. So we're like, okay, like Star Wars. Like, my kids, when they were born, we got an R2-D2 onesie with a little hat. So that I'm like, oh my gosh, but it had felt on it. It wasn't like amazingly well done. Yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, we can do geeky baby clothes, like gamer clothes, Star Wars, that kind of stuff, like custom, what people want. So we started that, and yeah, it went very well. I opened up an Etsy shop, did very well on Etsy. So I did that for like 7 years.
Wow. Is it just vinyl that you do, or do you?
No, after that I got into sublimation, which is like, the mugs that you see in the tumblers. I just got a white toner printer. So like I've really grown. And I started in 1 bedroom of my house, took over 3 bedrooms, and then finally I'm like, I need the basement. Wow. So right now I'm in the whole basement, but selling everything off because I found a new passion. Because when you're an entrepreneur doing that sort of work, it gets lonely.
Yeah.
Like I'm all by myself working. I'm like, okay, I have one person that helped me part-time, but then getting into this space, I'm like, okay, I miss this. I miss the relationships, the conversations.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna ask. So you only had one person like on your team at that time, and then you're carrying it for 7 years.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. And
all the branding, the marketing, the sales,
everything. Yeah, everything. So it's a lot of work.
Do you feel like the past experience from like retail really helped you when you started your own business and like kind of like managing it to be like profitable?
Absolutely. And I moved in St. Thomas from Pickering, and I feel like when I moved here, my business exploded. Wow, okay. And people weren't doing it. 5 years ago, I've been here for 6 years now, but 5 years ago, people were not doing what I was doing, and the marketing like was shitty. Yeah. Like they didn't put the thought into it. It was like a craft business. I was not a craft business. Like I'm a business, and I made sure my marketing was on point. And like people were like, "Oh shit! Like you can do pretty good things if you have the systems in place, right?" So yeah, for sure. That totally helped me. My past.
Especially moving. So you said you moved from Pickering to St. Thomas. What was the kind of move? Well, like what was the decision there to come here?
House prices then when we moved, we paid $525 for our primary, and we just got it appraised. Well, this was before everything went to shit for $950.
Oh wow! Okay.
So that was in like 3 years. It got that. But we sold at the peak in Pickering. Like when we sold, we did very well. We bought here. We didn't have any conditions except a home inspection. And I know the homeowner was like an older Indian couple, and they were like, "Oh, because we're young, white." And like, what are they doing? Are they nuts? And our realtor's like, "No, they're from the GTA. It's all good." But we sold and we did very well on our house sale. We weren't investors though, because thinking back now, we made a crap ton of money. We put it all into this house, thinking, "Oh shit, what if we knew about real estate investing?" But you can't think that way, right? Like.
And was there a reason why you chose St. Thomas? Was it just like the pricing of the house in a growing city, or?
And the community? We looked in Strathroy. We looked in Mount Bridges. We looked here. We liked that it was a bit bigger, closer to London. Like Strathroy was so small. It was like, I'm like, I cannot do that. Going from Pickering, right? It was pretty busy to that. I'm like, no. But St. Thomas, no regrets. I love St. Thomas.
Yeah, nice. And then what was your second business that you created? Because you said it was a wedding one, right?
Yeah. So when I saw the Game Over kind of going well, I just tested wedding stuff because it's $1 billion industry. Like it's huge.
Oh, I know all about the expenses.
I know. I started doing like basically our theme it was called Melody Bridal, and it's helping you get ready on your wedding day. Because when brides are getting ready, they don't want to wear like this fluffy robe with like these slippers. They want to look nice. They want to have their champagne, their mimosas with their girls, right? So we did custom robe with like bride on the back or Mrs. whatever, bridesmaid, maid of honor, just a whole thing. Yeah. So, and that because they're all about their pictures. Pictures are like videos, pictures. So you want to have that. And that's kind of what we catered to. And it did very well. Really exploded during COVID. Because everybody was online shopping.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Did you find your businesses took off during COVID at their best at that point?
Yeah,
or?
Definitely. Like I was selling masks. I did not want to do masks. I'm like, I don't want to do this. Yeah. I'm like, screw this. But yeah, people wanted them and they wanted cool things on them. So I'm like, okay, fine. Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did business masks. You had to wear them. You might as well look good while doing it, right?
True.
So yeah, I definitely exploded during COVID.
Yeah. And then how do you even go about selling businesses? Because that's what you said you wanted to do now, right? Because you found a new passion. So what's that like?
It's new. I've never sold a business, but for me, it's about promoting it on local groups. Like there's Facebook groups, Businesses for Sale in Canada, reaching out to your local like business sites like e-commerce, like the St. Thomas Chamber. And I've done a lot of presentations, and people are interested, but no one's ready to like pull the trigger yet. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. Cause it's a commitment. It's not like you got to put in the work. Yeah. I've built it up to this, but it's not just going to stay like this. It took a lot of work to get there. So,
are you willing to just hand it off to someone, or do you feel like you want someone to take it over that's going to continue with it?
I'd like someone to continue with the brand. They can change the branding. Like I am trademarked for my Game Over brand, the bridal. They can change it though. But I feel like my customers want that experience. So it's not so much like, oh, you have to do these products. It's more about like the customer experience and the loyalty that I've built here. Like people come back. Oh, I need this now. We're going to Disney. I need shirts. I need hoodies, right? We have a baseball team. I need this done. So I really would hope someone would continue that. Yeah. But again, I'm like, right now I've got so much on the go. It's like chasing 5 rabbits. You got to just chase 1 rabbit because you're not going to catch anything if you chase too many. Yeah.
And I guess when was the point where you realized I want to get into real estate or I want to explore real estate?
Yeah, we moved here in 2017. And I think we bought a new build. So I wanted a pool. Just for the record, I wanted to get a nice pool. We had a lot of equity in our home. And I'm like, okay, let's get a pool. We didn't get a pool. We have an above ground now. But my husband's like, well, why don't we look at like real estate? Because we see this exploding here. So we looked at a new build in St. Thomas. And I think we paid $415. It doubled in value in a year.
Wow.
So we were going to sell it.
Yeah.
Because I think we owed $200 on our primary.
Yeah.
And we were like, you know what? Let's sell this. We'll have extra cash. We'll have no mortgage. And then reaching out to these landlord groups on Facebook, because I wasn't in the community yet with the real estate investors. And they're like, no, don't sell it. Just pull it out and do it again. So my mind shifted. Yeah. And I was like, oh, man, you can do that? Like, you're not taught this stuff.
Was there somebody that like told you about this, like go look in this group, or is it just like curiosity kind of got you?
For me, I'm more of like a data collecting. I like to analyze and like get the research.
Yeah.
I had a mentor when I was in my 20s. I worked at Williams Coffee Pub. Do you guys remember those
places?
Yeah.
Okay,
I was going to say, I'm not that old then. But he owned this business, and I came in as a part-timer. He made me a supervisor like 2 weeks in because he saw something in me. So there's that one person in your life that like just changes your trajectory, right? So he was that for me, but he was investing in real estate. So he took me when I was in my 20s to a RAIN event.
Yeah.
So they were talking about Brantford, Alberta.
What's a RAIN event?
RAIN event, Real Estate Investing Network. Oh, cool. So they're huge. I think they're mainly Canadian. I'm not sure. So. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, huge room. Like I'm in my 20s. I'm not into real estate. But he brought me and my sister along because we worked for him. And yeah, we had this binder and they were talking about up and coming markets. And now seeing it years later, everything they said was true. All these markets that they were analyzing like exploded. So yeah, he invested in Alberta. So he was my like one person that I knew in my life that invested in real estate.
Okay.
But he wasn't like, you should do it. I just knew he was doing it in the back of my head. So once I started, I'm like, okay, I need to reach out to Jay because, use his knowledge. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So was it that moment when you saw your first investment property like double? Was that the moment where you and your husband were probably like, this is what we want to do, like all in now?
For me, it was because he's still working, right? And for me, I have that entrepreneurial, like, I'm like, let's go, let's do this, let's put a plan in place, where he's more like, okay, well, we need to follow the proper path and rules and all this stuff.
Great balance.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, I'm like, okay, what do we need to do here? I just started researching, following people on Instagram, and I think I just found the right people who could like nurture that and say, yes, this is true and you can do this. And then from there, my mind is set. Like once my mind is on something, I'm like, okay, there's no stopping. And he's involved. My husband's involved, but he's working full time. He's a general manager, so it's like really hard to get that up to my commitment. Right? We're almost there, but that's our plan. Like get him out of that T4 job and come and do this together as a business.
That's amazing. Do you find the fire sparked under you again once you found this passion?
Oh, totally. 100%. Like I had it with my business, entrepreneur, like, oh, let's do this. And once you see your business growing and you did that, you built that from the ground up, makes you feel great. But I feel like just writing down my goals and seeing them come to life. Like I said, I'm going to buy a 3 or 4-plex or a triplex in St. Thomas, and that happened. And then going back and seeing that happen, I'm like, holy crap. Like crazy. What you put in, it's all about your effort. Like honestly, you go to the gym, like it's all about your effort. If you don't put in the effort and you just say, I'm going to do it, it's not going to happen. So
and you just mentioned the gym, and I seen you've been working out a lot. Like you posting it, it's
not
amazing.
as much as you, but
no. But I love to see it though. And like, how important has that been for you?
Yeah, I mean, as a mom with kids, and I went up to 180 after my second kid, and I'm short and I'm small. So that really was like, oh shit, I'm never going to get back to where I was. In my 20s, I was like 125, So for me, I started in 2021 and I did no sugar for 30 days, worked out every day. I saw a huge difference. And it wasn't just the weight per se. It was like I took my pictures, I did my measurements. So I feel like the photos really motivate me. Because sometimes the scale doesn't change, but then you see your pictures and you're like, holy crap, you're down inches.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, I love working out. I love weights. I hate cardio.
I hate cardio.
Yeah.
But the weights are good. I don't work out hardcore like 2 to 3 times a week. And I just feel like if you can do that hard thing that you don't want to do, let's be honest, every day, then the rest of your day is just, it seems more easy. Yeah. And going on a podcast doesn't seem so hard because you did that 20-pound workout,
Yeah.
How do you find time to manage all this stuff? Or especially with kids, you have your own business. How do you do all this?
I think it's just putting it in your schedule. I'm pretty relentless with our scheduling, especially with kids and sports and my husband's schedule. So yeah, I wake up early, I go over my calendar and it's managing systems. And I'm not the best at that. I'm more of a relationship builder driver. So the systems thing is not my forte, but I'm okay at it. Okay. So I guess it's a goal.
So you're basically living off a calendar, time blocking everything, right?
Yeah.
That's something that I struggle with so much, to be completely honest. It's just managing my time and prioritizing these hours for this or those hours for that, right? So I can't even imagine with kids and a family and all the businesses you're a part of and the real estate, the coaching, I don't even understand how you do it.
Right?
It's a lot, but also it's so rewarding. And I'm doing this for a reason. I feel like my why is really strong.
What is your why?
You know what? I want to be working from a property in Muskoka with my family, and I want to go to Disney and not put it on the credit card.
Yeah.
That's my why. I want to teach my kids, you can do whatever you want to do. You don't have to be in debt, or you can be in debt and use it as leverage. So I feel like that generational change is my why, and just being together as a family and not worrying about money.
Yeah.
That's my why.
How important is it to show your kids what you're doing right now?
Super important. I've taken them to our triplex reno that we're doing right now. And it was 20 years of smoking in that one. Just looked rough.
Yeah.
And then the flip that we're doing, it was 40 years of smoking. So you could literally see the picture, the old paint, and then the outline of the picture with the nicotine. You're this is disgusting. Even the fridge. So I want to show them what is possible, because no one was doing this in our family, right? And they look and they're ooh, they really don't like it. They don't the grossness of it.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting when they see it done to see their reaction.
Yeah. And do you find that they they want to become real estate investors, or are they slowly
I don't know. My oldest is really into it.
Yeah. How old is the oldest? Sorry.
He's 10.
Okay.
And my other one's 8.
Young,
they're still young.
Yeah.
So the oldest, his brain does not shut off. He's one of those kids try and do bedtime, and he's asking me about things about the earth and the universe, and I'm oh man, dude, it's 9 p.m. Go to bed. But he is into it because I said, when you go to school, if you choose to go to school, because I'm not forcing them to go to school. They can do whatever they want to do. But let's say you go to London and you go to school, and we own a triplex. I actually said, you own a triplex. You live in one unit, and your other friends or whatever, they live in the other two, but they pay you, and you don't have to pay for anything, and you're also making money. And his mind was just wow.
Yeah.
Wow, you can do that, Mom? Holy crap. And he gives me ideas you know what you should do, Mom? You should buy a really crappy house and then fix it up. He gets it.
Yeah.
So I think just talking about it in front of them, they're absorbing it. They're listening to you whether you think they are or not.
I was going to say, I don't think we realize how impactful just those little conversations are when he's 20, when he's 25, 30. Because I'll reflect on things that my dad taught me when I was young, or my mom, and I'll be whoa, I was probably only 9 or 8, but that stuck with me, you know what I mean? So it's that's super important.
Yeah.
Do you find it's really important to kind of show them what work is in a way? So either money or how it revolves and stuff like that at a young age?
Absolutely. So on our fourplex, we have a coin laundry. So they're in charge of collecting all the money and rolling it up, making sure that they put it in the right amount in the rolls. Like that's one of their jobs. But also now that it's spring, we have so much work to do on the outside of the properties. So they're going to be put to work, right? Like it's not going to be like, oh, we have real estate, so we're rich. Like that's not the case. It's freaking hard to get in this business. And I feel like a lot of people think like just because you own a property, you're well off. That's not the case. You worked really damn hard to get here. And yeah, I don't want them to think like that. Like they need to know what work is. And actually it's funny, my youngest said, I'm going to work at Mickey D's, Mom, and I'm going to make money so I can get V-Bucks. Because he plays Fortnite. That's his like goal. And I said, okay. He goes, I'm going to make $1 million at Mickey D's. And I'm like, well, I don't know about that, son.
You've been working there for a while, buddy.
So he's like, I'm going to be a hard worker. Yeah, that was my 8-year-old.
Yeah, so, that's amazing. That's really good. Yeah. So right now, where are you in your real estate investing journey? Like, because I know you, you said 2 years ago you just started, but where are you now?
Yeah. Well, we have 9 units right now. One of them is going to go away because we're doing a flip.
Yeah. Okay.
So we did a 4-plex. These are all in St. Thomas. We have a 4-plex, and that was cash flowing on the buy.
Awesome.
And the triplex we closed in April. That's a full burr. Hopefully a full burr. It won't be a full burr, but it'll be close.
Yeah.
And then we picked up a flip, which was not planned, but because we knew our market and because we knew our neighborhood, like it's literally a minute from our house.
Oh, sweet.
And it was like it needs a lot of work, but it's going to be great. It's close to a school, church, like it's in a really nice neighborhood.
And close by.
Yeah, and close by. And then we have our new build, which we're just leaving that for now, letting it get some equity going in there. And
did you inherit any tenants on that 4-plex? Or?
We did. But it cash flowed on the buy. And actually one of them we found on closing day that they were in arrears, like 3 months or something, but they gave their notice. So we were like, that? Yes. So they were late on their payments.
Okay.
And we didn't know. They didn't disclose that to us. And I'm like, okay, do they have to disclose that to us during,
Yeah.
So luckily they signed the N11. They're leaving.
That's one thing that's important is when you're looking at houses and they do have tenants in there. I do find like having those conversations during the viewings, like they will expose a lot of things that like help you on the buy.
The tenants?
The tenants.
Oh yeah, they will for sure. And my real estate agent's really good at collecting information.
Yeah.
And I think like having the right person on your team that is there for you. But yeah, I think they give so much information away. Yeah. The tenants. For sure.
And then with St. Thomas, are you looking to expand in St. Thomas still? Like, is this like you're niching down in this market?
Yeah, we like St. Thomas. I mean, I like London, but I feel like St. Thomas is much easier to work with from what I've heard with the city.
Yeah.
In terms of like leniency on what you can do. But yeah, I like St. Thomas. We're growing and we're piggybacking off of London. Like a lot of people aren't here. Yeah. I'm like, why aren't more investors here? So I'm trying to attract those other investors in this area because we are seeing huge growth. Like we have a Starbucks. That's huge. Yeah. Right? For St. Thomas to get a Starbucks.
Yeah. For real.
So yeah, if you just follow where they're opening, go buy real estate there. Seriously.
Because they'll do better research than you ever will.
Yeah, I remember you were bringing that up, right? Like a lot of places they'll do tests, and if you see them there, it's usually go to follow, right? Because that's where the market's gonna go, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So how were you able to go from 0 doors to 9 doors? Like, what was the pivotal within that journey?
I feel like we used like a lot of our leverage. Because we, like, thinking back, like, we put a lot into our home right now in terms of when we sold in Pickering, right? So we were able to use that. Like, all the money that I could pull, I pulled last year before everything went to shit.
Yeah. Wow. That's good.
So we got our primary appraised, came back really high. Same with the townhome. And I was like, basically, I want to pull as much as I can because I knew that I wanted to be liquid to have something come up. And I was ready for it. And luckily it worked out. And then we had all this just ready to go and ready to launch. And because we knew where we were targeting, like things just came up. Like the triplex was on MLS for 80 days.
Yeah.
So it had 1 unit that was vacant and then 2 were occupied. So then I'm just like, what can we do here? Let's get creative. So my real estate agent reached out to the seller agent, and he found out that another unit's vacant, not on MLS like that, and they're doing cash for keys, and they're going down in price.
Perfect.
None of that was on MLS. Like, holy shit. We're like, okay, let's get in there. It needs work, but we're holding that. So
that's beautiful. Okay.
Yeah.
How important was seeking coaching throughout this process?
Coaching was, I think, monumental in my growth, in our growth, just because they're not going to hold your hand. but you're going to say, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm thinking. And, you know, they're going to have a well-lit path and a roadmap how to get you there. Whereas, you know, you can do short-term rentals. You can do medium-term rentals. Like, there's so many strategies. Land development in real estate, it gets so confusing.
Yeah.
So as a new investor, that shiny object syndrome, because you see other people being successful and you're like, I'm going to go do that because they're doing well. But you don't see the 5 to 10 years it took to get there, right? Yeah. So I feel like just having a coach, you know, analyze deals with you, coming up with creative ways how you can get more active income, like everything, they're great. Yeah. So far,
and even like I'm part of the same program as you, and like even like the weekly calls, it's like you can never really get left behind. You know what I mean? Like you feel bad if like you're not keeping up with like what you promised your coach, kind of thing, right? So,
yeah, and I feel like the community too is huge. I brought my contractor to the Onria.
Yeah.
And he's not really into all his friends are like, you know, drinking, partying, where he has a few student rentals. So I'm like, come, you know, network. It's not his thing. And he's like, holy crap. Like, thanks for, you know, making me go. Yeah. Because he got so much value out of it. And he's like, I feel like I found my people. And I was like, exactly. Yeah. Awesome. That's what it's like, right? Because your friends don't get it if they're not in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
have you found like your friend group or your circle has started to come towards you or ask you for like real estate advice that you've been in it?
Not yet. There's one that is interested and wants to. They're selling their house, so they're like, when we sell, we're gonna have some funds. We're gonna do a joint venture together.
Yeah.
But not yet. And I feel like as a newbie, like you have to build credibility. And even our coach, my coach has said, you know, your first partner, if you get a joint venture partner, it's not gonna be someone you know. It's going to be a stranger, which is so kind of sad, right? And even for me with business, though, it's all these strangers buying my stuff, right? Like someone will go to Nike, Lululemon, and spend $200 on a pair of yoga pants, but they're not going to come over here and, you know, order from you for something that they could.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's just, you got to build credibility. It's more hard to get those friends and family involved, but they will. When they see that, okay, she knows what she's doing, and because it's scary for them, they don't know.
That's an important point, though. It's like for some reason, they don't, the people who are close to you, they don't actually come and support you until you proved it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's so weird. It's such a weird thing because you would think that like, you know, you should be there from day one. Like, why are you going to go to Lululemon and spend $200 on the same thing that I'm selling for $50?
It's even too, it's like you'll start a social media page or have content. They'll be the last ones to congratulate you on it, but you'll have someone from like New York, for example, being like, oh, I love this stuff. I can't wait to see it. But you won't have your friend right beside you say the same thing, right?
So, exactly.
I had the question. So with like being in real estate, I've seen that you do like this discovery calls on like your Linktree. What's that about?
So people can reach out to me if they're interested in learning more. You know, I'm sort of involved in Corey's program, just getting information to people that are interested in coaching. Mm-hmm. But also one of my goals, like I love helping others and coaching. That's what I used to do in my old retail jobs. Yeah. So part of my, like, let's say 5-year goal is I would love to help people get their first investment property.
Okay.
So yeah, nice. and I just like connecting with people. Like, how can we do a win-win here? What are you looking for? What can I help you with? What can you help me with?
Yeah.
And it's because I did hear your last podcast you were on, and I do like kind of see it now because you said that in retail, at least you were really social, you were able to talk to people, and then when you did your own business, you were kind of pulled away from that. And do you find real estate's giving you that back in a way where you can like socialize with people, build these connections, and also coach people? Yeah,
absolutely. And I love that random people reach out to you on Instagram. Yeah. Like back to my point is like I want to connect with you. And I'm like, okay, let's jump on a call. You know, even people in our program or randoms. I just want to learn more about what you do. People from Alberta, BC. Yeah. So yeah, I totally missed that. And I guess I feel like I consider myself as like more reserved, but now like seeing myself the past year, 2 years, I'm like, okay, I'm not that reserved. I'm really sociable, but it's scary, especially going into a group of like people with like huge portfolios. Like, you know, it's like intimidating. But everybody from the community has been so welcoming, and they genuinely give you like a nugget. They're not going to be like, I'm not going to share information with you, whereas the corporate world is different.
Oh, yeah.
People are cutthroat, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I just love that.
Yeah, I remember the first time I walked into one of those big events with like, you know, you have the biggest investors like across Ontario, and you're like, you don't even have a property yet, right? You kind of walk in, you feel like a little fish and stuff, but like that's where you're supposed to be though.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Like in order for you to like maximize your self potential, you have to be surrounded around people who are doing a lot more than you, right?
100%.
Yeah.
I had a question. So like kind of going into you saying you want to help people find their first property. For example, let's say I wanted to come. What would you recommend me coming prepared to when I talk to you, or is there something that like I have to have?
No, nothing. I think we would just do like, what are your goals? Like if you don't have goals, if you don't have a strong why, you know, I think that's the basic needs to why you want to do anything in life. Like I want to get in shape. Well, why do you want to get in shape? You know? So I think you don't really need to have anything to invest in real estate. Like you can go wholesaling and make money and start being in real estate and just getting your like self out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I feel like people just have a lot like mental barriers. You know what I mean? Like you can really do anything you want. Just remove that cap and then, you know, go ahead and just do it. Get started. And like you were saying, like once you find that you're doing something that like you enjoy, like things just come. Like you didn't expect to be selling at the peak of the market and then having all that liquid money to take advantage of the market we're in now, right? So it's like, do you find that as well? Like when you focus on one thing, like the world kind of works for you.
Yeah, like I talk about this a lot. Like I truly believe like what you put out, you will get back. You know, so if you're putting out, like I write, like we had that 5-minute journal. I do it on the computer now, but I'll write down like my goals and what I'm grateful for, or I'll write down things that haven't happened yet. And it happens. Like it's crazy. Even before we moved here, I'm like, okay, we're gonna, you know, I'm going to be working for myself full time. I'm going to have an open layout. And I found this note on my computer on the notepad years later. Everything came true. I was like, holy crap, I forgot about it.
Yeah.
So I feel like you have to put out there what you want, and also verbally on Instagram, like tell people what you want, tell people what you do, put yourself out there. Because I made a post on this yesterday, like you never know who's listening and who's going to reach out to you and who you're going to resonate with.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's huge.
Yeah. How important has been like the social media and the branding in regards to like attracting other investors?
Good. And I mean, we haven't found a joint venture yet. Like we're good. It's hard because some people say JVs are great and some people are like, well, why would you give away half your equity? So it's like a battle right now, right?
Yeah.
But I do like attracting other people because my end goal is I want to help other people create generational wealth.
Yeah.
You know, like it ties into like my why. But yeah, like the Instagram, it's hard going on camera and like doing the videos. I know it looks easy, but it's not. But for what it's done for me in terms of relationship building has been huge.
Yeah.
So, you know, people have like, thanks for being real. Thanks for posting about the shitty stuff. Because it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
Like we had a wall that was water damaged and rotting and shit comes up. But it's how do you deal with that they're looking for, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I was reading this book about branding and you're probably on the same book. The Story of Branding or something like that. And it's how it's saying how you need to be the guide for the person. Like,
yes.
You know what I mean? They're the superhero. They're the most important thing. And you're the brand. You're just guiding them to solve their problem, right? And that was a whole different perspective for me because like generational real estate or whatever, like we're now planning to expose more of the negative side, right? To help people solve their problems. Mm-hmm. And it's tough to do in front of like the world, let's say, because you're on social media, but it's definitely worth it because at the end of the day, I feel like personal brands are the most important thing in the next 5, 10, 20, 15 years. Like think about like Tucker Carlson, for example, got fired from Fox News, right? Yep. And now he's being offered $100 million to go on Valuetainment as a personal brand, right?
Exactly.
So it's like that's the direction we're going towards. We're not with these big like companies anymore, right? We're going to personal brands and small niches.
Even too when you look at it, like a lot of big brands have like gone to like the YouTubers now, like these people with big personal brands because essentially those are like the marketplaces, right? Where are all the kids watching? What are they doing, right?
Right. Yeah. And I think like Gary Vee even says like he's a genius and it's all about the content that you're giving out. It's not selling all the time. Mm-hmm. It's what are you giving out that's valuable? You know, like what's his book called? Jab, 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 right hook. So you give, and then you ask. And because you've given out so much valuable content, like, oh, we fixed this shitty wall. Here's how we did it. Or, you know, get one of those stupid O-rings for your drains to make sure that your property is clean. Like things like that. And then you ask for something. And people are more like inclined to give you what you want.
Yeah. And I think it's just human nature too. Like you're you're more likely to resonate with a video of someone actually talking and explaining their brand as opposed to like a commercial like that's like 20 seconds, right? Like you really stick with that person and how they're talking in that moment, right?
Yeah, and I think like Netflix now, like just tying it back to my kids, like there's no commercials on Netflix. I know maybe they will soon. I think they even said they might be doing
they're
it.
Trying to do it, right?
But my kids don't watch commercials. So remember when we were younger, like Saturday mornings, I want this, I want that, I want that cereal, I want this Barbie. Yeah. My kids don't have any of that. So when we're watching like the Leaf game and there's commercials on, or if we're watching something with commercials, it's like, oh, and then they start asking for things. So it's so different. I wonder how that's going to impact the kids in terms of how they're seeing these things. They're not seeing it as much as we were.
Yeah.
So they still want things because they're kids, but I think it's different. Yeah, it's super interesting.
No, technology is just weird in general. Like even ChatGPT, I'm sure you
I love ChatGPT.
It's crazy.
I use it for a lot.
Really? What do you use it for? Like
I use it for responding to emails. I use it for my social media. I'm going to be using it for, we're doing tenant placement in St. Thomas, London, the area. So just coming up with like a template for, tenants that we can give people who are our clients, like it can do anything. Yeah. It is scary, but it's also, if you're not going to be learning it now, you're going to be regretting it later.
Yeah, 100%.
It can do so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I heard from someone speaking, they were saying that like a lot of time when like a new industry comes in, like for example, ChatGPT, people are complaining it's taking jobs away. It actually provides more jobs because you find people have to now learn how to use that system and now other jobs are created through it. So it's like going back to what you said, if you don't learn it now, you're going to be biting yourself later for it.
Exactly. Yeah, and I feel like just for social media too, like it can really elevate you. I think it's free still right now. I don't know if they're going to be, I'm sure they will.
There's a paid version like where you can scan like the internet like and its updates, right? Okay. Like but the free version is like everything up to this date. It's like supposed to
It's amazing. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. You got to get with it. Like if you're not, then
you're going to fall behind.
You're going to regret it.
Yeah, literally. And I've used it as well too, and it's just for simple little things like responding to emails or just like even with this podcast, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like summarize this book about branding for it, and then you read it, you apply it, and then that's it. So no, ChatGPT is crazy.
Yeah, and I feel like it's just a time saver. Like you still need to put in the data of what you want it to say. Like even like I'll say make this sound more professional, you know, and it's like holy crap,
and then more professional.
Yeah, exactly, or less professional, a little less. Like it's so cool. Yeah, I love it.
So I guess where do you see the business in 5-10 years?
Oh man, I feel like we're gonna have people working with us. I don't want to say for us because I want to create partnerships. I want to do bigger multis, like that's my goal. Like 20 unit buildings. But also, like one of my goals is to have a property somewhere not in Canada, because I don't know if you went to this conference we went to, but someone was saying time freedom, location freedom, and money freedom. So during COVID, we were all locked down here, but he bought a property in Mexico recently because he's like, this is not happening to me again. I'm not going to be locked down. So that really resonated with me. So I want to have a property like away, somewhere. My parents have a place in Costa Rica, and they freaking love it there.
Have you thought of a place where you'd want to?
I like Florida, but it's scary because of all the hurricanes, but it's so nice, and Florida is really like booming for what it's, and it's so much easier to invest in the States from what I've heard. Yeah, I'm still learning about it, but yeah.
From what I heard, they just like giving money out a lot easier compared to here, where it's like getting like money from the bank. They're more willing to like actually let you have that mortgage and stuff.
But and also the financing is different, like way more. Like you can do like 50, or not that you would want to, but there's so much more like products, I guess, from what we get. Yeah.
And even too, I heard like a lot of people are just opening up LLCs and like going that that route because of how much the government will just assist you with it. So
talk about finances. You becoming a mortgage broker? Or?
I'm becoming an agent.
A mortgage agent.
So
awesome.
Agents are under the brokers. Yeah, it's and it's just like me selling my business. I'm like, I need to do something to bring in money. I thought I could just be an investor and collect the cash flow, but that's not going to happen, right? As we know, like the interest rates have killed cash flow. So what can I do? I really like I'm a data-driven person. I like input, but I'm also a visionary. Like part of my strengths, I guess, are visionary and futuristic. Yeah. But I'm very like data-driven too. So collecting people's information, helping them. Yeah. And I feel like my avatar is regular people. I want to help regular people get a mortgage. Yeah, investors, but I feel like it's done with the investors. There's certain groups that are really good at it. it's interesting. So
How's
I'm
that
just
process
learning.
been?
It's good. I did the exam and I hate school. So that was like so, but I also wanted to prove to my kids, like, I'm changing my freaking career. I'm 41 and I'm changing careers. Like,
awesome.
you know, so to see that you're not stuck anywhere you are. So yeah, I passed the exam. So now I have to, like, I'm interviewing with brokerages and then they hold your license.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do like Bricks, BRX. They're like up and coming. They are all virtual.
Okay,
so
sweet.
what they do is they have like a really good training program because I want someone who's going to like train me. I don't want to just go in and beg for your time for training. So I really like this company. So hopefully, yeah. And they have, I've heard a lot of good things about them.
Awesome.
So we'll see.
So hopefully you on board with them and then continue
and then hit the ground running.
That's crazy. Yeah. And was that kind of a result of like you being so involved in real estate that you're like, okay, I want to get into mortgages?
Okay, so
Yeah. And I followed someone on Instagram that posted, I just passed. And I was like, okay, maybe I could do this.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I could do this. And I'm glad the school part is over because I'm more of like a hands-on.
Yeah.
Right?
Is it like
practical kind of things,
a year courses?
No, it's online. I bought it in February.
Oh wow.
And
Wow, that's quick.
March. I honestly didn't even study in March. I took a month off and my husband's like, you know that thing you paid like $400 for? Are you going to go back and do that? And I was like, oh yeah, I guess I should.
Yeah.
So I went hard in April and then I passed.
So it's a pretty quick process from like inception to like being actually done, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So do you think you could have got it done in a month's time, or
You can, totally. But with kids and life, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of information, and some of it's super dry. Like, I liked the numbers. I liked analyzing, calculating TDS and GDS, but none of that was on the exam, obviously. I'm like, okay, things that I know weren't on it. So
strengths.
it's like, at least I absorbed some stuff, passed, and now I can, like, put that huge book away. It's like this thick.
Oh wow.
The book.
Yeah, holy.
So, yeah. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. We were just talking about like kind of like the state of the world and the economy, you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
it's harder to sell things now. It's harder to raise money, even get money from banks. What are you seeing? Like how do you predict? I know we don't have a crystal ball, but how do you predict the next year or so to be?
I've heard, and I hope this is true, that interest rates are going to stay the same and then they're going to start to dip next year. I don't know when. I mean, it would have been nice if they start to dip because on our renos, we're using HELOC, right?
Yeah.
So every time that interest rate goes up, we're like, shit.
Oops.
But yeah, I think it will start to go down. And like, I don't know. I don't trust the government. Like, I don't know.
I think
All of them
us
have
at
their
this
own
point.
agenda. If you watch them in the House of Commons, like they don't answer anything. It's so frustrating. I just think that we're screwed. And I look at our kids and I'm like, oh, like this is what you're going to be left with.
Yeah.
Like, who is going to be good for this country? I have no idea.
Like by that time, who even knows if you're able to own properties?
Property,
yeah, like the debt that we're in is just,
Does
and
that-
I feel like everybody's a puppet. Like,
Yeah.
there's someone there controlling, and
Do you have fears for like? Do you feel like that's why you want to be like financially free, have this location freedom, because like you've seen what I guess the government's doing, and you trying to prepare yourself for that at this point?
yeah,
or?
I think a little bit for sure. I mean, I'd love to be at a point where I like can pull my kids out of the public education system and do private, or I don't know if I have the patience to like do homeschooling, but maybe like private, you know, like I would love to give them that.
Yeah.
So we're not there yet, but that's definitely like, if we can do that for sure, because you're not downloaded with all this crap.
Yeah.
You know, even like they're stressing about math tests, and I'm like, okay, it's okay. Like they're good. They're doing well in school, but like, come on, like that's not good for you can pull out a freaking calculator now. Like, come on, what they teach them is like, no. Do you need to know what an igneous and all this other shit of rocks is? No. Sorry. We have Google for that. Like, I just feel like it's so outdated.
Yeah, I think
like,
that's the biggest issue, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Even like universities and stuff, like how they were charging this more tuition during COVID when everything was online.
Wow.
So it's like how does that make sense? Like at that
and
point,
they're saving so much money, probably.
So much money.
So
wow.
much. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And like I went to school, like I went to Queens for 4 years. I got my undergrad. I'm not for kinesiology. I'm not doing anything kinesiology related. So like, I don't know. I feel like the school's kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It depends on the person, but school, you only need school if you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer,
Agreed.
or someone who
Yeah.
who needs that stamp, you know, of approval. Other than that, you don't really need school. Like, yes, you know, you can learn and stuff like that, but like, there's a lot of different ways to do things nowadays.
And I wish you could go to, like, let's say you're in a trade or you don't have to go to school. I wish that you could just do apprentice, because like the hands-on, learning is so much better. Like go and be with someone for a year and make shitty pay and learn and then go on your own. Like I wish that was,
I feel like that's one thing they kind of like missed when we were growing up. It's or like at least kind of our generation, because I feel like when like go back a couple years, it like 20 years back from us, they had those people. You had to go work with your parents. You had to do this, and then it slowly moved where you have to go learn at school, and you don't get those hard skills that like other like socializing, being able to wake up in the morning, go to work, stuff like that.
Yeah. And it's those old school values that I feel like people are missing nowadays. You know what I mean? Like actually like working hard and going through all those hours. You know, people, I find at least like our age, you know what I mean? They think things comes easy because of the internet, because what they see online. Oh, I did this and that with this money. I bought this house. But like you don't really see the work behind all that.
And right? I don't think it's going to get better. Like my kids want to be like YouTube stars, or like they see Roblox and someone created an app and he's like, Mom, I'm going to create an app and I'm going to make so much money. And I'm like, oh gosh. Like, so it's really hard to like get their brain out of, well, you're not going to be the next Mr. Beast. I mean, maybe you could, but like, but then it's like, do you say no to them? Because they really could.
They could, and
right?
Then you could be the one that stumps it.
So it's like, it's a struggle as a parent. Is like, I really want to like instill what they want to do and try and give them that, you know, I want to be a Twitch streamer or whatever. Like, oh gosh.
That's funny. How important is it? Because you said that your husband now is like more on board, right, with the real estate. And he wants to leave his job. How important is that?
You know what? It was hard because we're like, I'm up here, I'm doing all the learning, and he's here. He's at work, and it's hard because I feel like I'm sometimes downloading to him, right? Which is not how you want to learn. You want to be doing. So now I feel like we have a plan. We're gonna get him out of there, but it might take another year. Yeah. You know? So yeah, it's tough. And I feel like, especially as like we manage our own properties, he's only off, you know, every other weekend and then one during the week sometimes. So it's like, okay, when are we gonna go do this? Yeah. So when you're able to do it full time, you have more time, or you can sub it out to someone. Yeah. So I think that's been our most like tough thing, especially with the kids' schedules, just managing all the stuff has been tough.
Yeah. And is that where you're going to transition to eventually, is like property management for all your properties? And
we were going to do property management, but I think we're doing tenant placement, and then we're going to start wholesaling. Okay. In St. Thomas. Yeah. We're going to target St. Thomas. We're learning about it and keep the good stuff and try and sell the rest. Yeah. We'll see. It's new. I know you've been doing it a little bit.
Yeah. You've been Jordan has been helping out. Yeah. Passing out flyers.
I think it was like 2 weeks ago. We were like literally here, and then we had a call back actually.
Yeah, did you? That's amazing.
On Alma Street.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We gotta get back to them.
Yeah, it was a fully vacant home.
It was recently. Yeah. Fully vacant home. It was like it looked really good, the renovations inside. We were looking through the windows because it wasn't open. But there was no one there. It said vacant. So like we were looking through the windows. It looked beautiful, and they just reached back to us like recently. So like that's like that would be our second
one
opportunity. Nice. Yeah. So are you guys just going to like tag the doors, or are you doing like a flyer campaign with Canada Post?
So right now we've just been driving around, handing out the flyers, and then just like on the computer like writing out all the important data. Yep. But we definitely need to start like, you know, like doing bigger campaigns and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think that you have to like, we're hopefully going to start targeting like a 1 kilometer radius. Nice. Okay. I mean, he works at Staples, so we get a discount on the flyering stuff too, which is nice. Yeah. So we're going to use that as long as we can. But yeah, it can be very lucrative if you have your right systems in place. And then it's like when people call you, you got to be on, and it's a lot of like relationship building too with the seller. Yeah. So yeah,
but that's the beauty of like being part of the network we're part of, right? Is because like during the process, I had a deal under contract. It fell through because it ended up that the tenants decided they don't want to leave, so the numbers don't make sense for someone who's going to buy it, right? Yeah. But I had it under contract. I had the conversation with the seller. I spoke to like Austin Ye in our networking group, and those people, they helped me with all the forms. That's amazing. All the wholesaling forms, all the like honestly all the details, just talking to people, right? So like once you get into that, like I have the process, I have all the notes, so come to me and
I will.
Yeah, but that's the beauty about the network, right?
I think that for wholesaling, like where the market is going, hopefully 2024, if we learn it now and start implementing systems now, once the interest rates do start to drop, people are going to start buying way more. So if we have a bunch of stuff, like we've learned it and we have stuff under contract, I feel like it's the right time to learn it.
Yeah. So, and wholesaling was like something that was so hot, like, you know, when the market was hot, right? So now like everyone's not wholesaling anymore. So it's the perfect time for us to be in there and start wholesaling when everyone's scared and everyone's running away, 100%. Right? Like I feel like we are in the perfect timing because we're learning, like you and I, we're learning while the market's shit.
We should team up.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
Right?
For real though.
Power
like
numbers.
The fact earlier you guys had made the comment that like, how do you get into real estate? For me, it's like I didn't have that like I'd say the equity to actually get in right away and buy my own house or whatever.
Yep.
So like I was like, how can I get in? And then he told me about wholesaling, and I was like, I love the idea of it because it's almost like, I don't know, it's almost like doing that barter deal for someone without actually getting your hands dirty in a way.
Yeah, and I feel like wholesaling, like for when you grow, let's say you have 6, 10, whatever properties, you have to start generating your own leads. You can't always rely on MLS because all the good properties and how you make a lot of money is you get them off market. So I feel like if you have that as your first foundational thing that you're learning, you're going to be, well ahead of a lot of other investors.
Yeah, and like you're solving problems, right? Like you're solving the problem for the seller and you're solving the problem for the person who wants to buy the house. You found the deal for them. So it's like, I really learned that it's a people's game, Money moves through people. Yeah. Like that's the only way money really moves, right? So it's like, that's the most important thing. Would you say that that's the most important thing with like networking?
Yeah, and I feel like with money, I feel like there's a lot of money in the world. And we went to that one event that they talked about money a lot, how money works, and it's abundant. Like you just got to put it out there. This is what I'm looking for instead of stressing about it, and it will come to you.
Yeah, I like 100%. What Alvin said. I think it was last Thursday call. He was like, people won't tell you how much money they actually have.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he borrowed like some money from somebody, and then once he paid it back, they're like, oh, actually, I have this much money, right? So it's like you said, money's abundance. You don't really know how much money people have. No. You just have to continue to share your passions and what you want to do, and it'll help them too. So. I don't see anything wrong with that.
And I think the best part is now we have social media. So like it broke that barrier where like you'd have to go to a coffee shop to meet someone, or I had to go like drop off flyers. Now it's literally you make a post and you might find the person. Right?
Yeah. It's crazy because that old mentor, who's older now, he had a binder. Okay, and he would go to networking events with his binder. So he was talking to me recently, and he's like, you got to make a binder and don't post about money on social media. And I was like, okay, well, things have kind of changed. Like, because now you see people like, oh, I need, $1 million for this and blah, blah, blah. Like everybody's posting, which, maybe it's not like the best way to do it, but it's working. Yeah. You're getting attention, especially if someone's been following you for a while and you're like, I have this amazing deal. This is what I'm looking for. And they're ready to deploy their money. Right? I talked to someone recently who's in Mississauga. They have capital, and she's like, every day it's burning a hole in my pocket, and I want to put it to work. She likes St. Thomas. She likes London. So I'm like working with her to try and get something going here.
That's amazing.
Because what is that money going to do if it's just sitting there?
Well, right now with inflation, it's going down.
Exactly.
You're losing money like crazy. So
even in high interest, with inflation, like...
No, it's no point.
I swear the high interest saving accounts are only paying like, what, 1%? Not even?
Yeah.
0.9?
If that, I don't know.
Apple just launched their own banking. Did you hear they had like tons of deposits come in the first day?
Really?
I forget what the rate is, but Apple's becoming a bank. Yeah. Like that's, wow.
6%?
Wow, that's crazy.
Return on your money?
Yep.
That's crazy. And is that Apple in Canada? Is that in the States? Okay. Okay.
Yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's
like
moving.
Apple, think about branding. Like Apple does not lower their price. Like Apple is genius. They don't lower their price. They know who their target market is and they just cater to that market, and now they're becoming a freaking bank. Yeah. It's insane.
It's crazy too because Apple, like you could go to Best Buy and they have discount, like you can get like employee discount. Apple products, I'm pretty sure one thing you can't, like they don't get anything on. So
yeah. But it's their messaging. Like Apple, what was that one message? I think it's they say something like you can do anything. You know what I mean? Like when the computers were only like Microsoft and Dell was only nerds on the computer. They made like being on a computer.
Yeah, they made it cool.
Like you're a regular person, but you're a creator. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so they empowered the person, which is why they're able to take over like anything they put their heads into, right?
That is true, actually.
And even for their launches, they still have people lining up. Like that's so crazy.
Yeah, like your phone still, it's the exact same phone. It just looks different, and people literally get it right away.
I don't get it. Like it's the same freaking thing. Sorry, but you can't make your camera like that much better. Like I don't know. My husband's like, this is bullshit. There's nothing different.
And there's a lot of better phones out there. Probably,
yeah, we gotta wait for the next big thing to come. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure.
It'll be probably like some like AI stuff in your eyes.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Right?
Or Google tried to do those glasses.
Yeah, I do remember.
What happened to that?
The Oculus,
that fell off.
or that was Facebook.
No,
I don't even know.
I think it was the augmented reality. Yeah, Google Glass, but so above its time though, if you really think about it. So who knows? We'll maybe see it soon.
Well, I used to work at Best Buy, right? I ran home theater, which is a very male-driven department. So I'm in my 20s and selling when LCDs were like super new. Plasmas just came out. And I was doing very well there. And they came out with the 3D glasses for the TV. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yes, I do.
Yes, that was a flop. But all of them followed.
That.
I think Samsung or LG was first, but all of them followed. Like Pioneer, they followed. They came with 3D glasses. It was like an extra $50 for an extra set of glasses. It came with 2, but you could do a 3D TV in your living room. And I'm just like, okay.
I remember
People
that.
bought it.
I did too.
People bought it.
I
These
swear
TVs
we
weren't
probably
cheap.
had one.
That's the craziest part. Thinking now TV prices. Like back in the day, you could like a 36-inch used to be like $4,000 or something. Now you get it for
I used to sell them $10,000 for like a 50-inch, 60-inch plasma.
Crazy.
And yeah, it's crazy. And now we just got a TV because my husband wants to set up the Leaf game outside with a whole setup. I think he paid, it's a 50-inch from Walmart, a Roku TV for like less than $400.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy crap, that's insane.
Yeah. Have you found any barriers being a woman in this industry? Because like it is very like male dominated, let's say. And how have you overcome those barriers?
I think I'm used to it based on my previous job, but I went from Best Buy, which is very male, to Victoria's Secret, which is very female, so I feel like I have strengths in both worlds. But no, I'm used to like being around guys. I feel like it's, just holding yourself as a woman, and I feel like times have changed a lot too. Like a lot of men are more open to a woman in business and women entrepreneurs and successful women. And I mean, it's still very male driven. Like even Claudia and I are talking about starting like a women's networking thing in this area because there isn't really one, right? So I think it's
Claudia,
coming.
like Claudia.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Wow. She didn't tell me.
It's women,
now
so you don't need to know.
No, but that'd be amazing because she's gonna be in London soon.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that'll be good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's important too because I have a little sister, the youngest out of all of us, right? So like seeing her have positive role models like yourself, like women actually doing stuff in business and stuff like that, it's important for them.
100%.
It's really important for them. They have to have the same kind of mindset of like we can do anything too.
Right. And I feel like as a mom with boys too, it's different because it's so funny. My last night, my 10-year-old's, well, Mom, if I have any questions about work, I'm going to go to Dad. But if I have questions about cleaning, I'm going to come to you. And I was just like, oh, kid, you are getting a smack. No. But I was just like, okay, how can we, because I am home. I do all, like most of the stuff. I do all the cooking, like he's out, right? But I'm freaking hustling. So I'm like, shit, I need to change this and quick because that is not what's going on here. But it's like, it's funny, his perception, right?
Yeah.
So perception is reality. So I'm like, okay, well, who are you going to come to for real estate stuff? Well, I'm going to come to you, Mom.
Yeah. Now I got you, buddy.
Okay, now you're my good books again.
No, but they're very lucky to have you. You know what I mean?
Thanks.
That's very. I met you in the beginning of this program, and what you've done from like the beginning till now, it's like holy, like Melody, like it's so much.
Thanks.
You know what I mean? And you keep on crushing it. I'm like, I gotta keep up with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, it's incredible what you've been doing, and I'm sure that they see that as a positive, like mom's a superhero.
Yeah, and I think they will. I think they're young. They don't quite get it yet, but when they're in their 20s, they're gonna be like, holy shit, look what we built. I think that it's just keep going, work hard,
and just seeing
put in the work.
like mom had us, she's 41 and she still has the growth mindset to keep going, keep having like that fire under your butt.
Exactly. When you're older, like 41 seems so old. Okay, it's not that old. Like when you're younger, like, oh man, that's so old. Well, now I'm like, shit, what can I do in the next 10 years to set myself up, right?
And age is a weird thing because it's not old. It's not old.
No,
you know what I mean? Like,
well, and in the real estate industry, like there's 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds at some of these events who have property. So I feel like in this community too, the age gap is like huge. Yeah. But it's not. It's not huge in terms of like conversations, knowledge.
And then you have older people on our Zoom calls, and they're all cute with their mics and their headphones. And, they're older, but like they're still in it. They're still growing. And like that's like, I feel like that should never end.
No, and I don't think it will. And I mean, you get big enough that hopefully you can just lend out your capital and you're very passive, and hopefully that's like an end game goal. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess before we conclude here, I want to ask about the Leafs. Are they winning? Are they going to win this series or
I'm
what?
going to have a very sad family. Oh, man, they have to. Like, we're so pissed. Like, Florida sucks.
Yeah.
They only had like 90 points or something, and now they're it. Oh, don't even get me started. But yeah.
You got a quick question, yeah? All right. You want to jump in?
Fellow Best Buy alum here, eh?
Yes.
Spent 5 years there. But so obviously, like, with your success in, like, the corporate kind of ladder world there, and now you being on more into the mic? Okay, is that better? Yeah. And then so you being an entrepreneur now.
Yep.
Burnout exists in both worlds. Have you burnt out in your entrepreneurial journey yet? And then what's the difference? Like, how do you find those differences in navigating it?
Yeah, I think I have. And I think it gets, when you're doing the same thing over and over again, like when I was doing the custom apparel, that sort of thing, I get really bored. Like, that's just, I need new challenges. I need new people to talk to. Like, if you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to frickin' prove you wrong. That's just my personality. So yeah, I feel like burnout is real, especially as a mom and, you know, a woman in business. It happened. I broke my wrist. So I think that was a big wake up call where like, you can't do everything. This was like 2 years ago, but that made me take a break. I couldn't do anything. So yeah, burnout is totally real, but I feel like, you know, just being active, eating right, scheduling your time in, but knowing when you need to take a break. Like, we need a family vacation. It's been 3 years and we recognize like we need to go.
Yeah.
Right.
And we've been like, no, we're going to save, we're going to do this. But now it's like, you know what? No, we deserve this as a family because your kids are only young for so long and they want to spend time with you.
Yeah.
Then it's like, see you later, mom. I'm going out with my friends, right?
Yeah.
So
do you find like did the corporate world burnout like have any impact on what pushed you towards like, I need to, or was it just like, I need to change
I think it was, I interviewed to be a GM for Best Buy because I was a sales manager. So I started as part-time wireless when mobile first came out, cell phones, iPods. And then I graduated to a supervisor running home theater, killed it, was beating all the guys. And then I got promoted to a sales manager. I knew everything. I was freaking killing it. And I applied to be a GM and I didn't get the job. Like, they literally asked me what line on a P&L is this, and I knew it. And I'm like, okay, they didn't give me the job. So that really freaking hurt. And I was like, okay, is it because I'm a woman? Like, 'cause I really thought it was. So I left there, went to Victoria's Secret. It wasn't so much about burnout. I think it was just wanting something like different and something that I controlled.
Yeah.
Whereas like I can make my own freaking destiny, right? So yeah, I think that lit a fire under me for sure.
That's amazing.
Awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. That's quite the path and journey, right? Because like usually a lot of people will get into that scenario and they're like, oh, I made it. Like, I'm at the district level or I'm running a store and the pay's being there a while back, like the pay's good once you're in those positions, right? So, and
as a DM, like, you aspire to be a DM in those roles because you see the DMs come in and you're like, oh, these people are the head honchos. But now looking back, I would never want to do that job. They have so many stores. Like, my husband's DM of Staples, I think he owns or he manages 12 stores. 12 stores. What kind of impact are you having on 12 stores?
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like, you're not.
Even connection-wise, too. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Really
you can't. It's such a... Yeah, maybe you're making $150K a year. But to my point, I was speaking with another investor 2 days ago. He was getting his red seal. I forget what the trade is, but he was aspiring to be like this guy who made $150K a year, was getting his red seal. I forget what the trade was, but he quit all of a sudden to go do wholesaling. And he's like, holy shit, I wanted to be like you and now you're quitting. So he went to go follow him. This guy who left went to do wholesaling. He made $1 million in his first year in fees in wholesaling.
That's crazy.
So like, yeah, $150K, but there's more out there.
Yeah, and you don't have like that big corporation draining you. Like, you don't have to bleed some company that's gonna.
Oh yeah.
Like, I remember I was recently working at Bell and I was taking phone calls in the gym at 9:30 after the stores closed.
Wow.
And I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I in this situation?
And the thing is with Best Buy, like, yeah, I get it. You're in the culture and it's almost like a cult, right? Like, yeah, but in the end, like, you sell TVs and fucking power cables.
Yeah.
And an HDMI cable. Like, Victoria's Secret, oh, it's be all end all. We sell bras and panties. Like, fuck. Staples, paper, and ink. Like, you really break it down. Like, you're not saving lives. And that's what I have to remind my husband sometimes. Like, it's so stressful when you're in it, though. And it freaking does kill you. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll let Ricardo jump back in and close this out.
Right.
But
I love that. I love that you're, like, able to break it down. Just, like, if you break things down from, like, a little level, it's like, what are you really doing?
Yeah, exactly. Selling ink and paper. Like, sorry, you are important. But in the end, the world's not going to end.
Exactly. Like how are you actually making an impact? How are you moving the needle? You know what I mean? Like for someone else.
Yeah, for yourself, everyone else around you.
Because that's ultimately the best happiness, right? Is when you see someone, either they break out of their shell because of your influence, or you've helped them. Like that's the best feeling in the world, Totally.
And also too, it's just like I feel like once you do break out of that too for yourself, if you can live life with like knowing there are regrets, but you're not regretting where you're at in that moment, that's the best life you can live technically. So
yeah, and I feel like if I can be an impact to a part-timer, like in my retail career, having a conversation and really impacting their life like my old mentor did, that's huge. And I know I did that with people. So I feel like there is growth working in that corporate world, but if you want to be an entrepreneur and have better, like not better, but something different, something greater, there's other things.
100%. Yeah. Totally. And do you agree with like the fact that the 5 people you hang around with are the ones who like basically shape who you are?
I think it changes. I mean, all of my friends in my 20s, I don't talk to them anymore because I outgrew them. They were still partying. I had kids and I'm like, okay, this is different. But yeah, I think so. I think it's all about your community and, put yourself in the room where people you aspire to be. Like I'm going to the multifamily conference. There's going to be some big players there and I'm nervous, but at the same time it's like, it's okay. You can be nervous.
Is Grant Cardone going to that?
Yeah, Grant Cardone is there. Alex Rodriguez is there. I guess he's big in real estate. I don't know.
I'm on my honeymoon, so like I wanted to go to that one. But it's gonna be amazing too. It's gonna be beautiful
you can't
too.
Miss your honeymoon.
Yeah, of course. But no, we'll conclude it there. Thank you, honestly, so much, Melody, for coming and talking to us. And honestly, I feel like it's gonna impact a lot of people in a positive way. This conversation.
Amazing.
And it was great to see it from a female perspective. Like honestly, there's so like it just shows the power that like being a mom and just like as a woman how much you can do. So it's like
thank you.
I love to see it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That means a lot.
Cheers, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll add all your tags and everything.
All right, sweet.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.